Welcome to our official launch for Operation Love Rescues. I have to laugh. I'm telling you, this is amazing. This is an amazing day. We have an amazing topic. I have an amazing guest, and you do not want to miss it tonight. But first things first, I want to give a shout out, a special shout out, and thank you to our friends in Florida, Rick and Becky McGraw with BravoPrintPromo.com. Visit them on their website, BravoPrintPromo.com. They are amazing. They blessed Straight Street and Operation Love Rescues with an amazing banner. And I just wanted to shout them out, and I appreciate everything they've done. The turnaround, guys, is amazing, phenomenal. And so without further ado, we will get to our launch for Operation Love Rescues. And I want our special guest, Miss DeAndre Marshall, to introduce herself. Tell us about your mission, your purpose, your why.
So thank you so much, Jessica, for having me in this space tonight. I am so excited to be your very first guest. I feel privileged and honored to share this space with you. But the real deal is that we are always winding up in spaces together, unbeknownst to us, because of our passion. Exactly, about our passion for this work that we do each and every day. Our heart is in this, and so I'm grateful to be here to just talk about what I'm doing currently. But to talk about current, I need to just go back and revisit a little bit of what I was doing before I transitioned into where I am now. So about more than 20 years ago, I started working at Angela's House, which was the first safe home for girls in Metro Atlanta. And I tell that story because it is a part of my why. And in working with those girls, I saw some vulnerabilities. I saw some brokenness. And as the therapist for Angela's House, not only was it in my job description, but it was also a part of my passion to help them to escape from some of the things that they had been involved in. And I did that through art. And fast forward, having done a lot of work with women and girls and issues around the city of Atlanta, I then transitioned and did a lot of work in social service with not only youth and children, but also adults, working with homelessness and all of those vulnerabilities. And finally, I wind up at IHTI. And for those of you who don't know, IHTI is the International Human Trafficking Institute. So about 4 years ago, I started working as the director of training and programs for IHTI. And it was going along great. It was fabulous. We had a goal to reach 50,000 people throughout of Georgia, right? And actually with that, we had to pivot. And we know about the pivot, Jessica. A lot of things got put on hold, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we pivoted from doing in-person trainings. And by trainings, I'm saying that we were training people in community to understand what human trafficking is. And it is nothing but grace that got us to the point of reaching that 50,000. IHTI sunset in actually March of 2022. And at that point, our parent company is the National Center for Civil and Human Rights. And if you haven't been there, let me just give a cheap plug, even though I don't work for them anymore. Have you been, Jessica?
I have.
Yeah, so it's a phenomenal place. And so if you've not visited the center, it's a place where you can take your children and your family to find out more about civil and human rights. So the blessing for me is that because of my passion, the center gifted me the intellectual properties of IHTI.
Okay.
Won't he do it, Jessica?
Yes. Yes.
And so I along like Jessica, I launched um Enlightened Talks. So that's just a nice way of saying that I want to talk about it, like Tamron Hall
All
says.
right now.
I just want to talk about it. So for me, education is important in our communities. And so the actual mission of Enlightened Talks is to talk to communities about both labor and sex trafficking. So that's the overall thought and mission. But let
Okay.
me break it down just a little bit further. So I am transitioning from talking about arresting predators and traffickers. We still need to do that, y'all. Don't
Yes.
get twisted. We still need to do that because they are at the hub of this. But what I want to do and what my calling is and what my passion is talking to children, youth,
Mm-hmm.
and college age students, as well as parents, about how to keep our kids, our children, our young people safe in the environment in which they're living. So that's all of it. That's what I'm here to do, and that's what I'm spending my time doing.
Amazing. Amazing. Because you don't just do that, because I also happen to know that you have something else going on the side that deals with our youth, because we have to understand, viewers and parents, that there are people set in this earth to help guide, to help lead and guide your little ones. And so Miss DeAndre is being a little modest because she does a little bit more there. Tell us about, real quick,
Oh
we got
gosh.
time. This is an hour-long program and we're not going
Okay.
to rush. We got time, and
So we can talk about it.
I want the viewers to hear about what you're doing with these girls
Okay.
in these
So
the boxes.
yeah, Jessica. Listen, Jessica knows my life, y'all. I mean, we really hang out a lot together. So about 15 years ago, I started an organization that's called Uniquely You. And I said organization. Initially, I started out selling gift boxes for girls to celebrate their menstrual cycle. That's what I started out doing.
This is powerful, y'all. Say that again.
So it's a gift box, and it's called the Uniquely You gift box, and it's to celebrate becoming.
Mm.
So because in life, what we know as women and as once girls, we know that a lot of stigma is around the menstrual cycle.
Yes.
And so when I had two girls, and I wanted to do something special for them to celebrate them becoming young ladies. And I didn't really see anything that I thought was worthy of that transition in their lives. And so I just asked God to give me an idea. And this is what was birthed out of that, Uniquely You. So I was selling the little boxes. They were real cute. It was going over well. And my friends started saying to me, "Okay, DeAndre, we're buying these boxes from you, but what are we supposed to say?" And I got it. I went back to God and I was like, okay, I need to come up with some type of curriculum. And this was 15 years ago when I started working on the curriculum. It took me a while to get it together to be at a point where I could use it. But I did. And
Amen. And before it was popular.
yeah. So now, girl, but I'm so excited because it's so needed. It really does lift our girls up from a place where they are ashamed of becoming to a place where they own it.
Amen.
That's important. I think that anything that's worthy of us having is worthy of someone copying it. And so we so what we did, Jessica, was we started to have these seminars for tweens.
Oh, okay.
But because of some of the connections that God gave me, I was able to do more than tweens, but even teenagers. And then what I started hearing from my amen corner, that's what I call my parents that stayed for the seminar. I started to hear them say, like, I didn't learn that when I was growing up. Or there were some things that, they are myths that, that I talk about during these seminars. And so, they were saying, well, those are some of the things that I thought were, was true. So really, it's a seminar for girls 9 to 13 years old, but any person, girls can come. But listen, I've had some dads come.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, I've had some dads sitting in. It's been interesting. They've gotten an earful, but
That
I think it helps to prepare them when they're single dads for,
exactly.
for that moment, So yeah, so it's been a good
Exactly.
thing. Yeah. So I appreciate you asking about uniquely you. It really does fit, in the pocket. I'm able to button it all up
Mm-hmm.
and make it so that you can celebrate becoming while you understand your body, as well as learn how to keep yourself safe in the spaces that we find these days. Because Jessica, you're younger than me, but we're living in a time where these young people are growing up in a different space than either of us.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different space,
It is.
together.
It
So
is. And
yeah.
I could just imagine somebody out there, one of the viewers, saying, what does this have to do with Operation Love Rescues? Well, it
Yeah.
has everything to do with it. She just liberated somebody out there about becoming, about sitting down with their child and talking to them about their menstrual and what's going on with their body and the changes. She just liberated somebody with that. So at the end of the broadcast, before we end, she will give you her information, mama, daddy, and then you'll be able to reach out to her for whatever reason, uniquely
Right.
you or Enlightened Talks. Either way, it's a win-win. Either way, get liberated, get free. I am God's liberator. I'm gonna help y'all out today. Yes, I am. We're
I,
gonna kind of
I love it. I love it.
we're gonna kind of shift gears now
Okay.
because that was a great segue into our mission and purpose for Operation Love Rescues. So Operation Love Rescues came about last year. It was, a mission that God gave me through my prophetic friend and sister Michelle Spence Jones, and you know, didn't see the vision as I'm seeing bits and pieces of it as I move along. But because Holy Spirit gave me a download 2 days before we went live about changing policies. But Operation Love Rescue's mission is to be a voice for the voiceless, to be a home for the hopeful. We're going to use this online platform for families and communities of missing and exploited children. Now, you do your homework, you will be flabbergasted at what's going on in these streets. And so that's we're gonna enlighten you tonight, because my sister and friend, the Miss DeAndre, is about to share with the viewers. She's about to share with the viewers and the parents about this world we're in, this world of technology, about the dangers or what to look for. You just take it away and do your spiel.
Yeah. Listen, and I believe in being set free.
Yes,
I the God's liberator is something that is spot on. And I think that a lot of times with our girls and boys who get caught up in the life, and so I'll talk about being in the life in a minute, but when they get caught up in the life, one of the things that they need is a listening ear and someone who can help them to set themselves free. And it's not until they're ready to be set free. We both know that, Jessica. It's not,
yeah,
you can't make a person who is being trafficked free. They have to want to be liberated. So
yes,
and so Jessica is moving into a space that is much needed. And we applaud her for her diligence and her dedication to do that work. I mean, it's not everybody can do that. We talk about all the time, not everyone can teach, but not everyone can do the things that you're about to do, Jessica. And God knows that. And that's the reason why God put it on your plate, because God knew that you knew how to slice it up. And
Amen.
listen, and so I'm excited about what you're about to do. But I want to actually give you, the viewers and the listeners, a definition of human trafficking, just a basic definition. So from the basic, we'll move into where we want to be tonight to explain what's happening to our children and our kids, and really in some instances how we might even be responsible for a little of that as parents. And I don't want y'all to click
Talk
off.
about it.
I don't want y'all to click off because I'm about to talk about it, but I want you to understand that we are complacent in some things, and so I want to highlight that tonight. But human trafficking involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. So that's your basic definition for human trafficking. So that happens both in labor and sex. This is what traffickers and predators do, and the way that they do that is by luring and grooming kids to be in the life. And you would be surprised as to where this is occurring. I was telling Jessica earlier, I was watching Tamron Hall today. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to listen to her, but the thing is that this is happening in our communities, and a lot of us are unaware of it. And so this is a platform that gives us a space to talk about it, to give you that information, because one of my mantras is knowledge is power. And the more that you're educated, the more you'll be able to understand how to move and how to work with your children in some of these instances. And so the bottom line in your home is communication. What do you think, Jessica?
Huge.
Yeah, communication. So if you have a void in your house where you're not talking to your kids, I don't care what age they are, there's a concern there. And because we live in a technological society, they don't talk to you, but they'll find someone to talk to.
Yes.
And so those are just a few of the tips. I said something earlier, and I want to say that the communication is key. Keeping those lines of communication open so that your child, your youth, your young adult feels safe in talking to you. Because if they're not able to talk to you, they'll find someone that will listen to them and talk to them and give them advice. And it's not all the time the best advice. And that's how our kids get lured and coerced into to situations that they are not in control over.
Yes, I totally agree. And my mantra is awareness is frontline strategy.
Yeah.
Frontline strategy. It's like at the front line, So the more you know. And so we hope that you guys have an ear to hear what she is saying tonight, because seriously, we talked about it earlier before we went live, and something she said just got me on my seat. She was like, yeah, if you don't talk to your child, somebody out there is going to talk to them about something.
Yeah.
And just like she said, it's going to be the wrong information.
Right. Yeah.
So I learned this weekend, I was serving a Holy Spirit encounter this weekend, and I learned from one of my roommates, powerful woman of God. She said, I need you. She said, when you get these girls, she said, I need you to break this banner off of them. She said, when there's sexual abuse, because you and I know that there are things that are happening before they get exploited.
Mm-hmm.
95 or more percent of the time the girls had been sexually abused before they were ever exploited.
Yeah.
And so she was saying how whenever a child, a boy or a girl, they are touched sexually,
Mm-hmm.
there's a banner over them in the spirit. So they are literally marked.
Mm-hmm.
They are literally marked. And I said, you know what? I believe this. And I believe this because I used to say about myself and others, we had a neon sign on our foreheads that said, use me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was that mark in the spirit.
Mm.
Those
Wow.
people could pick us out. And so you just think about it, how they will go to the malls or they will go to the schools, the basketball games, the football games, and they can literally pick out the
Mm-hmm.
girl or the
Right.
boy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
This thing that she had me floored. I was like, this is something else. Because a lot of times when you're in it so close, um, you forget or don't consider the spiritual components.
Right. Right.
Because you're so up close and personal
Right.
with this thing. But this is a spiritual
Right.
battle,
Yeah.
for the
It's a
most part.
warfare. For
It's
sure, it's a
yes.
warfare. One thing, Jessica, that you have said a couple of times, and I just want to highlight that for those of you who are listening and paying attention, is that Jessica has said girls and boys, girls and boys, girls and boys. And so for those of you who may be under the impression that this involves only girls, yeah, I'm just here to tell you that that's not so. So we need to rethink who is affected by this. Any person who shows, like Jessica was saying, any vulnerabilities, those people are vulnerable to being trafficked and to becoming predators. And it may not be, the type of trafficking that we are maybe used to. It may be sextortion, where
Mhm.
images are out there floating on the internet, because the world that our kids live in, these young people, it's the computer or not, it's their cell phones or not, it's the tablet or not, all
Yeah.
of these things that they are spending so much time on. Those are the places and the spaces that they are contacted, and if they show any inkling of interest in anything, that's where the predator and the trafficker will ease in. and
Yeah.
and once they slip in, if you don't have a foothold on them, they have a foothold on them. And so, we talk about this as far as the girls, but I want to let you know that there is an element of boys and young men that are being lured and groomed right online, right in your house.
Mm.
And so that's a scary thought, but that's a real thought. And all I know how to do is be real. All I
That's
know, when when I do trainings for, organizations and colleges and businesses, and I'll tell them straight up, all I know how to do is shoot straight. I shoot
mhm.
straight from the hip. And when we talk about our kids being in the life, it used to be that people would say, "Oh, it's just the kids from foster care. Oh, it's just the kids from group homes. Come on now. Oh, it's just the kids from broken homes." That's not the case any longer.
No, ma'am.
If they have access to the internet, they are young people who can be lured into the life.
Yes. Exactly. I hope y'all are hearing this. I hope you guys are hearing this. So it's tight, but it's right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is.
I'm
It is.
telling you. I'm telling
Yes, yes, yes. So as we're talking about technology, Jessica, before we run on to talk about any of the other vulnerabilities, I wanted to talk about some of the places
Okay.
where parents should be concerned, or caregivers, because all the times it's not, kids are not always living with their parents. They may be living with a grandparent. I had a grandparent in a training 2 years ago with Georgia State grandparents. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, Jessica, if you heard me talk about this, but she was sitting in my training. She went through the training, and I talked to parents about going home and scrolling through their kids' phones. And I know a lot of people get antsy about that. It's like, oh, you want me to get my kid's phone? And that's an invasion of their privacy. Well, honey, let me tell you something.
Okay.
If they are not paying the bill,
Come on.
if you are paying the bill, then you have a right to scroll through their phones. And
Okay.
if you get too much pushback, there's a reason why they're giving you the pushback.
Yes.
So this grandmother went home from that so it's been 3 years, because she was actually downtown. She went home and she got her granddaughter's phone and started to scroll. And lo and behold, what she found was not pretty. And of course, they called me because she didn't take notes during the training. And so they didn't know who to call.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I wanted to find out what was going on. Her granddaughter was 13 years old, and she
Wow.
had been engaging in conversation and sending images to a older man, which is something we'll talk about later, but it's called sugaring. Now,
Sugaring.
and we're not talking about the white sugar. We're talking about something that's totally off the charts as far as what's happening in community. So,
Ooh.
all right, I know.
Y'all, when I told y'all that she was out here saving lives, that was case in point.
Yeah, so they were able to research, because the police, if we call them, see, that's the problem that sometimes happens.
Mm-hmm.
Situations happen in our homes and we don't call in the police because we don't want them knowing that this is what's transpiring in our homes, because we think that maybe, defects is going to get involved in our lives. But what I'm saying to you is that the only way that we can help to curtail, eradicate, whatever word you want to use, some of what's happening to our kids is that we have to talk about it.
Yes.
And so, that was the thing that happened in this instance with this grandmother. So, we can't be late to the game. We definitely have to be, like I tell people, be proactive and not reactive.
That's right. These are your children, your loved ones, people that you are supposed to protect.
Right.
And you said, we have to talk about it. The word that came up as you were saying that was report.
Yeah. Yeah.
Report these incidents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's one of the issues with the missing children.
Right. We're gonna go there for a second. Can we talk about the missing kids?
Yes.
So one of my pet peeves is the fact that we don't hear a lot about Black and brown kids going missing. So what we'll get a news story, and I can't show any of that here tonight, but we'll get a news story about a child missing. And that's all. We never get any more. We never get, that person is still missing, or, what is going on with the case.
Right.
I was talking to you, Jessica, earlier, and not wanting to just, call out counties, but now there's a county in Metro Atlanta that I am really concerned about, and anyone who has heard me talk knows that I'm concerned about it. And I'm now making inroads to get into their county by meeting with people in the county to
Yes.
be able to talk to their kids and their young adults and their parents. And that county is Clayton County.
Yes.
So if we have some traffickers listening, yeah, I'm here for it. I'm ready
Okay.
to educate our kids and our school systems and our Ys and our Boys and Girls Club, whatever's down in Clayton County, I'm coming. Because
Amen.
a lot of what happens to kids is that they don't know any better. And they'll tell you that. Kids who are in the life will tell you that they didn't know that when they were doing certain things online or talking to certain people online, they didn't know that those people didn't mean them any good.
I know. Ain't this something? And this goes back to how you started communication. So if
Yeah.
the parents know, then they can talk to the children. Because I can guarantee you the children know. Because, let me just start right here. And I used to knock on these doors trying to get people to listen to me. And you'd have professionals, I'm talking about superintendents and other professionals saying, oh, well, the parents don't want their children to hear about,
Right.
sex trafficking and exploitation, but it's happening to them.
Right.
And they're
Yeah.
a lot closer to it than you think, but they just don't have a name for it
Right.
because it looks like love.
Right. Right.
It looks like provision.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's so much of the truth that you're talking about, Jessica, with our parents, unfortunately, especially when our kids get to be older and people are supplying things for them that maybe parents can't supply.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes that's what happens. And predators and traffickers know exactly what they're doing.
Yes.
They spend 24 hours. How many hours in the day? They spend 24 hours in the
Before.
day researching and looking and searching. And I tell kids, I said, if you decide to run away from home and you have nowhere to go, within 48 hours of you hitting the streets, what's going to happen, Jessica?
You're going to be approached.
Yes, you will be approached by a trafficker because that's their job. It's their job to look for these kids. And the worst thing is that they know where to look for you when you run away from home. So when kids run away, I tell them within 48 hours, you're going to come in contact with a trafficker. And the other thing I tell young people, because we have a lot of young people who are migrating to Atlanta because we have the film industry, the
Oh,
movie,
yes. Yes.
we have that, and then we have the music industry that's blowing up here in Atlanta. It's like we are the new West Coast.
Yes.
We are the place to be. And young people are moving here, but they don't have provisions. They move here thinking that, oh, it's Atlanta. I can make it. I'll get discovered. And that's just not what happens. That's not realistic.
Yeah.
And they get here and then they can't eat. They don't have a roof over their heads.
Right.
And so they move to the next thing that will provide those things that they don't have. And it's like, oh, I'll get out of this once I make it.
Lord.
And that's just a group of kids that, so what I haven't talked about is like the kids who come out to their parents.
Oh, yes.
So kids who are in the LGBTQ community who come out to their parents, and the parents say, oh, well, we're not going to have this in our house. You got to go. And unfortunately, when they leave, they don't have anywhere to go. And they wind up in the same types of situations. So, you have pockets of kids. Yes, you do have the foster care kids. Yes, you do have the group home kids, but you have other kids, like kids who are migrant children.
Yes.
That's a whole different group. you know.
Mhm.
So so all of those different groups are part of you know, the kids who are vulnerable, and traffickers know it. But
Yes.
but then, Jessica, I don't know if I'm freezing or you're freezing, but one of us is freezing just a tad bit. But I do want to tell you this, and I want to say this to parents. And I don't really want to scare you, but I do want to let you know that there are traffickers who have groomed young people to become traffickers in the schools.
Yes. This is
So
true.
yeah, I don't want you to be naive thinking that, you know, everything is kosher in these schools, because that's not the case. The trafficker may not be able to get on the grounds to the school, but what they have done is they have groomed others who are in the
Mhm.
classrooms with them.
Mhm.
And they are watching for those vulnerabilities to see who they need to approach, or who, you know, who's going to be the best candidate to introduce to their boss.
And let me destroy this yoke right now. Why in the world in the 21st century are you still in the dark about these schools? In light of what just happened with the school shooting, there are dangers seen and unseen in these schools. Like, you literally need to be on top of your A game and understand that there are predators outside the gates and inside the gate.
Yeah.
And what's going to help you and what's going to help your child is making them informed, educating them, making them just aware of those dangers.
Right.
Like, give them scenarios of what could happen. Go back to the communication part. Be a safe place where they can come back and say, Mommy, this happened today at school.
Right.
Well, what did you do about it? I went and told my teacher, or I went and told the principal, or I ran, to the janitor's closet because he was in there. Whatever the case may be a safe place so that the information can come back to you
Right.
through
Yeah.
your own child, and not a third party because your child has just been found dead in a ditch. And I am not apologizing for being graphic because these things happen. I've been looking at different articles and clips and stuff. Just read something today about a girl being found and she was put off in a suitcase or something. Like, this stuff is happening.
Right.
It's
Right.
happening. So information, education, this stuff matters.
Right. Absolutely.
It matters.
I mean, in Clayton County right now, they probably have about 25 or 30 kids, both male and females, still missing.
And not just missing, but it seems like it's every month, every week. You're seeing a kid online or
Right.
not on the news. I'm
Right.
gonna talk
No.
about y'all.
No, no.
I'm coming for y'all. Mainstream media, I'm coming for y'all because we don't see the little black and brown children on mainstream media
Yeah.
when they come up missing.
Nope. Nope.
But this is happening in Clayton County every other week. I'm telling you, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is going on? What is happening with these children?
I
And
know.
why are there not any follow-ups?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
We don't ever know if this child is safe, in a safe. We don't know.
Right.
But it's going to change because Operation Love Rescues has launched today.
What you say? We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna be about it.
We're going to talk about it and be about it because this is ridiculous.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And so, you know, the thing that I also want parents to know that there are games and apps and stuff out there that they need to be definitely aware of.
Yes.
And I talk to parents and say, hey, if you don't know how to put those parameters and permissions on your phone, take your phone to where you bought it. Take your tablet to where you bought it. Whatever that technology is your kid is using, take it to where somebody can help you. Find a young person, because they definitely know how to put stuff on the phone where you can, where it can indicate what's going on. And then definitely, try to, play the games that they're playing to see what it is that, that's going on. Because like some of the times the predator who's on the game with them and talking to them and getting information about who they are, where they go to school, and all of those types of things, sometimes they will pretend to be the same age as the kid. But I tell parents all the time, some of them are so bold, they will tell them, this is what I can do for you, and this is, this is my name, maybe not using the correct name, but these are some of the things that I can do for you. You want some red bottom shoes? I got you.
Just bold.
Yeah, they're just really bold and emboldened, because they know that these kids, we live in a presto society, Jessica.
Yes.
It's like Burger King, have it your way, however,
Yes.
and they know that kids, want things. And if parents are saying no, or, wait, or whatever the answer is, and you have a person who is saying, oh, don't worry about your mama, I got you.
I got you.
I got you. And they do have them, believe that. So it's, it's a luring process, it's a grooming process, and then they, take them in. And from that point, it's almost difficult for a parent to be able to get their child back out of the grips of that predator or that trafficker. And that's happening on the apps, the games, TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, all of the places where these kids are, Instagram, all of the places where these kids are spending a large amount of time is happening there. And then one more thing before we move on, Jessica, I just want to tell parents, listen, y'all need to stop oversharing on the internet yourself.
Give them an example.
So one of the things that I've seen, it was a group out in Roswell. They have a parenting group, and I joined because I just wanted to be able to impart some knowledge to them.
Good.
But I noticed that when people would move to Roswell from other places like New York and New Jersey and other places, we are in the South. And so people know that we have a tendency to be welcoming. And in this particular group, parents were joining, and they were giving all of their information about themselves and their children, including where their kids went to school. One person actually put where they lived, what community they lived in, what school their kids, and so I sent them an email and I said, listen, y'all need to grab the reins on this, because this is just opening a can of worms for, traffickers to get inside your house.
I got butterflies when you said that.
Girl, that ought to have been wasp.
Butterflies, like a nervousness in my stomach, in my belly when you said that. That is,
yeah, just divulging too, like oversharing. Like we tell kids don't overshare, but I want to tell parents, don't overshare online. And then pictures of your kids, okay, one picture, so that might be okay. But what I know about images is that these predators are able to lift images off of the internet. And they take those images and they use them on the dark web.
Yes.
And so, it may not be your body, but it would be your head. It may be your kid's head on, a body. So I'm just saying, just to be cautious about, anything that you post online, especially where your kids are concerned. And I think, like a lot of people are getting pretty updated by this, because sometimes I'll see kids' pictures and they'll have the face of the kid, with a
blotted out.
Yeah. And so that, but I just say to parents, don't overshare about, where your kids are, because the thing is that traffickers are wherever your kids are.
Yes.
I think you talked about this, Jessica. They are at the park, they're at Six Flags, they're at White Waters, they're at the skate rink, they're at the bowling alley. They're anywhere our kids are. And so that's not to say not to let your kids go, but that's where we go back to that communication thing again.
Yep.
You have to talk to your kids about, protocol and things to do and not to do. And not to let them go places by themselves. A long time ago, we used to be able to do that, to allow them to go places and do things, by themselves or with a friend. But it's very, very dangerous now to let our kids out of our sight. They just had a young lady rescued. She went with her dad to a basketball game.
Okay.
And she went to the restroom by herself. And she was in Texas, and she wound up in a whole different state being trafficked. And so I mean, I get it. It's scary out here, but it's better to be aware. That's another word that you said, Jessica, earlier.
Yes.
It's better to be aware of what's happening. We cannot, we just can't be as lackadaisical about things like that, allowing kids to go to the restroom by themselves in certain spaces, because you have predators who are in restrooms sometimes who will molest your kid.
Yes.
And he or she may not say anything to you about someone who has inappropriately touched them in the restroom because they are ashamed and embarrassed.
Yes.
So yeah, that's something else that I wanted to, just talk about. Girl, we're running out of time. Jessica,
That was good. There's some great stuff, some good information, and we will not run out of conversation.
Yes.
It could just go on and on and on.
Yes.
But wow, the
Yeah.
young lady from Texas, she was recovered.
They did recover her. She is back home. Once the dad found out that she was missing, he went straight to the authorities. But they had gotten her, and they were gone. I mean, it happens in the blink of an eye. That's
Yeah.
how quickly, they can get a person and get them gone to somewhere else, because once again, this is their job. It's a setup. But listen, I didn't even say this, but I have to, because I would not be truthful if I didn't say the reason why we have human trafficking is because it's big business.
Yes. Money.
It's all about the money.
Yes.
It is all about the money. And that's why people do this, is because, they can make tons of money off of a human being. And that's in both sex and labor trafficking.
Yes. And I'm going to say this because I'm not afraid of y'all and what's over the airwaves or whatever. But we also know it's some big wigs behind this money scheme.
Yes.
That's why you don't halfway want to pass these policies that will protect our children, that will protect the women and the men that are being labor trafficked.
Yeah.
Because your hand is off in the bucket, the money bag.
Yeah. They get in the bag.
It's in the money bag. But I'm going to tell you something. I read something tonight before we came on. I was at my altar and I was reading Zechariah chapter 5. And it's a scroll, a flying scroll that the Lord of hosts released to people that were doing wrong. How you didn't have to be out in public. That flying scroll was coming for you. It come to your house to get you. If you was a liar, a thief, whatever you was doing, that flying scroll was coming for you. And that's what I'm telling you. There is a flying scroll in the spirit. It is coming for y'all. Because enough is enough.
Yes.
And these politicians that want to run their mouth but don't do a thing.
Yeah.
Run your mouth and just plant your feet. That's what you're doing. Lip service. But we ain't having it. Because I'm telling you, Holy Spirit and already downloaded some stuff to me for Operation Love Rescues. It is on and popping. Do you hear me?
So you're coming from Jessica.
Coming for you.
Coming for you. Y'all are taking our kids' lives. That's what that's the disparaging part about all of this is that
Yes.
it's yes, there are adults. So don't let me, mislead you. Yes, there are adults involved in human trafficking, human exploitation, labor trafficking, and the like. But my concern, because adults have the ability to turn away. Kids, when you talk to psychologists, they tell you that a kid's brain is not fully developed till the age of 25.
Right.
So anything under the age of 25, they don't really have control. So I mean, they do some silly stuff that, I mean, we've all been there. We've done some stuff that, we wouldn't even tell anybody if they ask us about it.
Okay.
But these folk are definitely targeting our children.
Yes, that's a great word. That fits. Targeting, on purpose,
Yes.
purposely seeking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you know what? I really want you to tell the people, give them some of those resources you have wrote down because we
Oh,
have about 8 minutes.
okay. So listen. So there's some places nationally that if you are in, oh Lord, we didn't even talk about pornography, but yeah, that's at the crust of this. I mean, I didn't even talk about it, but it is. I mean, our kids are online. A lot of them are looking for pornography. A lot of them are happening upon it and then going back to it. But if you're interested in getting information about how to talk to your kids about pornography, there's a website called Defend Young Minds.
Mm.
So that's a place where you can go. There's another one also that I've been connected to, and it's called Culture Reframe. These are national organizations, but the information on the website, y'all, this off the chain. So I definitely want you to visit and defend young minds. And then the other one is culture reframed. And then if you know of young people who are in danger, something going on, if they're in Fulton County, there's a space in Fulton County, it's called Youth Spark. It's been around for years. It's through Fulton County. They have a phenomenal program that works with young people, as well as Covenant House. So if somebody's out there, in Atlanta, and you have young people that need some help, especially those who have aged out of care. The Covenant House is another space where you can get in touch with them and they can help you. Tabitha's house is up on the north side, like Gwinnett area.
Okay.
If you have young people who are up on that side and they need some assistance and some help, you can definitely. Wellsprings is down south, and they have another space, but I can't remember where it is. There's a House of Sheriff. There's another place. So there are a lot of resources to recover, as well as when Jessica gets her space opened, that'll be
Great
another.
Street Life Center.
Ooh, when I first met you, girl, that's all you used to say. But yeah, so there are a lot of spaces. You can always reach out to Jessica. I'm sure she's going to give you her website, or if it's not showing up somewhere here, but reach out to her. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can reach me at ddm.enlightentalks@gmail.com. Once again, that's ddm.enlightentalks@gmail.com. And thank you again, Jessica, for inviting me to this platform. I'm so excited about what God is about to do. I mean, He has swung the doors open, and you are walking through, and I'm so excited about those who you will bring along with you in the lives that you will save.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, guys, we are wrapping up. This was a phenomenal launch. This was a phenomenal conversation. I'm excited. I really am. I really am. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything.
Okay.
There was so much,
Yeah.
y'all, viewers. I am telling you, there is so much we did not cover, but we gave you so much tonight within this hour that I hope you heard. I hope grabbed hold to what we were saying and received it in love. I know I got a little excited for a minute, but I ain't playing with these folks. I'm not playing with these folks. And so let's see. Yes, this officially concludes our official launch. The official launch of Operation Love Rescues, an online platform. This recording will be on the Operation Love Rescues YouTube channel, so you can go back and look at it. You can like it and share it some more if you like. I appreciate everybody that's tuned in, everybody that has followed instructions that are going across the window. Like, share, comment, and hashtag OLR, hashtag Operation Love Rescues, hashtag Liberator. I am Jessica Frazier, God's Liberator. We love you guys to life. Goodbye.